Good morning, fellow Ambazonians. Today, na Monday, Country Sunday, number 23 day for this month of January 2023. My name na Capo Daniel. I am the Deputy Defense Chief and the Anti-Kidnapping Czar of the ADF, the Ambazonian Defense Forces, and the Spokesperson of the Ambazonian Governing Council, aka Sense Pass King, una own countryman. Lukong, Ambazonian FBI. Una welcome to our daily podcast. A program where they bring una the truth, where they bring una meaningful information, fact-based analysis for help we as we waka for this journey to our freedom, the independence of Ambazonia. My own country people them. Today, for this morning, for this our podcast, will be titled The Enemy of Justice and Peace. The unprecedented congratulatory message both to the Ambazonian side and the Cameroon side for engaging in meaningful and comprehensive peace process in Canada is understandable. The Pope himself have sent out congratulatory messages to encourage the pathway out of war, the pathway for justice for the Ambazonian people. War dignitaries from the United Nations, United States, and all over the world have also put in their words and their weight behind this call for a pathway out of war, but for the issue of Ambazonia and La Republic to be settled in a negotiation table. The enemies of justice and peace are not far away. It was unprecedented, and it wasn't a sign of weakness that me, your humble servant, your own spokesman of Ambazonian biggest movement, the Ambazonian Governing Council, which have been tailored and have been labeled by the War Buying Report as the most hardline nationalist movement for Ambazonia, to come out to tell the President of La Republic and his Prime Minister to be more courageous to pursue the pathway out of war for a negotiated settlement. We know very much that our statement will always be taken out of context. All newspapers that have published and run our response to Paul Bia's coming to the negotiation table, we want to first of all applaud those who have pursued and encouraged a pathway out of war and negotiation as an alternative to war. We want to encourage them. We know that most journalists in La Republique du Cameroon, even some in Ambazonia, are all called 5 franc journalists, because they will have often run stories based on who pays their papers, and as such, the reaction to our response to the negotiation commitment being announced by the Canadians have been taken out of context, for the most part deliberately so, for some to please those who pay them. Failing to report important news or reporting news shallowly, inaccurately, unfairly, leaves the people dangerously uninformed, and we call on all Ambazonians to be accurate, to be fair in reporting such important and historic events as Ambazonia and La Republique committing themselves to pursue the path of negotiation as an alternative to war to resolve the Ambazonia-Cameroon war. It is not by mistake that a lot of people in the war, including the Pope himself, have congratulated both sides and encouraged the pathway of peace. This is very important and this is very strategic. This demonstrates that the war have been on the side to call for negotiation, for a pathway to justice and peace. And Ambazonia have never been carrying arms because we are excited or we love to kill. We have always carried arms because we want to defend ourselves, simply because the alternative, which was negotiation, have been rejected by the enemy. It is the oppressor that determines the pathway forward. Ambazonians have always been for negotiation and dialogue, right from the all Anglophone conferences to the Swiss processes to now the Canadian Ambazonian Cameroon negotiation process. Our call that encourage the faction in Cameroon that wants to pursue the path of negotiation, to be courageous, must not and can never be twisted or should never be twisted by 5 franc journalists or maybe some activists to be seen as a validation of Mr. Paul Biya. No, it is a call to encourage and to support the factions and to bid them to take this leap in the dark, to pursue negotiation, to seek for a settlement that will be just and that will bring back peace to the people of Ambazonia and La République du Cameroon and will meet our aspiration as a people. Our call for Paul Biya to choose the path of negotiation have been deliberately distorted by 5 franc journalists to say that we are calling for Ambazonian forces to drop their weapons. God forbid. Ambazonians should arm themselves to the teeth. We should hold our gun close to our chest, observe the ghost town, resist Cameroon government school, and maintain our posture because our liberators are Ambazonians' defender. They are simply defending their homeland, exercising their God-given right that is entrenched in international law. We have to defend ourselves. We have to defend and be capable of defending our territorial integrity. But we must continue to encourage those who want to seek peace to see it as a viable alternative and to demonstrate to the rest of the world that we are a peace-loving people and we only fight because we have to. We will continue to defend ourselves and we will continue to call on Paul Biya Diongote, who have declared war against our people, who are responsible for the humanitarian crisis on ground zero, to do the right thing and come to the negotiation table with good faith. For the past 3 months, our leaders had sent us to Canada with a mission to defend, protect, and express and fight for the aspiration of our people, which is nothing other than a fight for outright separation from Cameroon and outright independence for Ambazonia. Our goal is clear. Our agenda is clear. It is stated, it is documented, even in the commitment to negotiate. Cameroon, of course, have their own agenda. That is expected. That should never be seen as an endorsement of Cameroon's agenda by Ambazonia. We have all come to this table, both sides, Ambazonia and Cameroon, without precondition, to engage in a process that will be facilitated at the highest level of the Canadian government. President Paul Biya of La République and his Prime Minister were directly engaged in this process, monitoring it, supervising it, and managing it, and then endorsing it as a state and as a country, which has been expressed by both the Canadians and the Ambazonian joint statement by our own leaders. The most consequential Ambazonian groups, the bloc of the leadership that have absolute command and control of their forces on the ground and of their constituencies, groups that were properly constituted, that works within the bylaws honorably of their various associations, have come together to lead our country and our efforts and our aspiration in this endeavor. It is very courageous to our leaders, Dr. Cho Ayaba, a man of war, Siseko Yerima, John Baokoro, Ebenezer Akwanga, and the participants from AC to have taken this bold move, even with the backdrop of the killing and burning of our villages. It is not a demonstration of weakness. It is not a demonstration of accepting Cameroon agenda. It is courage and confidence in our case that it will stand the test of scrutiny internationally, and we are very strong and able to defend ourselves and prevail over Cameroon because we are sure of our case, we are confident of our case, and Ambazonia should be rest assured that these are leaderships that you can support, you can trust. These are people with a strong track record that our people can depend upon. So once more, fellow Ambazonians, be aware of 5 franc journalists and activists who deliberately distort our message for a call of Paul Biya to engage in this peace process as a call for Ambazonians to stop fighting or to disarm themselves. God forbid, it shall never happen. We call on our people to continue to arm ourselves. We of the Governing Council of the ADF will continue to put weapons on the ground to strengthen our backbone, and we will not abandon or drop our control of our territories that we have liberated or allow Cameroon to change the formula on the ground No SDO, no election in Ambazonia, and resistance continue like there was nothing. We will be honorable, we will be fair, we will be just, but we will be fierce, we will be bold, and we will be strong, and we will be brave. Until you hear from your leader's own mouth, you should hold your guns and know that the war continues, while the diplomatic effort will also continue. We seek war not for chaos, we seek war for justice and peace. And indeed, that is our goal while we pick up arms. And for those Ambazonians who are not part of this process, their duty is to scrutinize and hold those who are involved to the highest standard of accountability. Don't just trust, verify, ask questions, seek clarity. In that way, you will be even much helpful to those who have engaged in this endeavor on your behalf. But do not sell yourself cheap to sell distortion, misinformation, and blackmail for those who have taken courage and a selfless act to seek for a negotiated settlement that will meet up with the aspiration of our people, as that has been expressed by our goal and our identification on that document. For others who want to oppose this process, and for those who want to challenge this leadership, I will ask them to demonstrate to the Ambazonian people that they too can build capacity, that they too can raise an army, they too can arm a people, and they can ultimately defend our territorial integrity and our sovereignty. Let them reverse the tribalism they have injected in this our struggle. Let them arm the soldiers who from Mount Fako to the hills of Ndonga Mantung have complained of them embezzling money that was meant to buy arms for these soldiers. These are people who have not cried the death of soldiers, who have not even mourned or turned back to look at those who have fallen on the battlefield under their name. These are individuals who have scammed Ambazonians and only brought to us shame, disgrace, and scandal after scandal. People of no integrity. I will urge them that if they truly want to challenge leadership, let them build capacity, recruit soldiers, train them, and send them to battle for Ambazonia, for our aspiration. After all, we all are claiming to fight for one thing, the independence of Ambazonia. It is not by word, it's not by social media noise. We fight for Ambazonia by building an army on the ground with a command structure that protects the integrity of our people, that fights against kidnapping and ransom, that put in place a mechanism for our soldiers on the ground to be able to support and sustain themselves through liberation tasks. We do so by giving independence meaning, by opening community schools, by authorizing private and mission schools to open according to Ambazonian authority and guidelines, and make sure we provide basic resources to our people as much as our resources can provide. Those who sit on social media and make noise in their comfort should know the difference between leadership and commentators. I urge those who sit in their comfort in the diaspora, Chris Anu and Sako in particular, and the rest that line up behind them, which we know for sure they exist only on paper without any properly constituted body that supports their organizations, to not play the role of spoilers. Yes, they have become official opposition, but they should do so patriotically. They have an opportunity to clean the bad image they have brought upon our struggle and on themselves. As conmen, embezzlers, and people who have called for Ambazonia civil war, they should prove that they can arm Ground Zero. They should arm Ground Zero. I support them to arm Ground Zero and stop making noise. Stop making distortion. Big manism will take you nowhere. We know the character of conmen and we recognize them as they will emerge. Ambazonians should stay fast and trust the leadership of the most consequential bloc who have worked with integrity and built you a strong and firm ironclad hand in defense that can protect you, comfort you, and defend your human right. Negotiations are bound to a lot of unpredictability. Everything can work, everything can fail. We go into this negotiation not as our only hope for freedom. We hold this negotiation as a product and a result of our resilience on the ground. We must continue to hold the ground. Our people must continue to observe the ghost town and demonstrate this period more than ever that they stand for Ambazonian nationalism and the gains we have made is irreversible. Continue the ghost town, continue our armed resistance unless you hear directly from our leaders on instructions on how strategically we can position ourselves to give relief from our people who have suffered the brunt of this war while maintaining their integrity, their sovereignty, and their dignity as a people to meet up with their aspiration for a separate Ambazonian state away from Cameroon and an independent Ambazonian state that will guarantee their freedom for the long term, a sustainable, comprehensive, negotiated settlement for Ambazonia. Stay tuned tonight to the address of the nation on this subject by the leader of our War of Liberation, Dr. Cho Lucas Ayaba. God bless you all. Capo Daniel, signing off.